Hey, Elle, how are you?
I'm good. This worked. Amazing.
Benjamin Lindsay here. I'm managing editor
How
at
are you?
Backstage. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I hope that I might go. I might go on my Wi-Fi. Can I? I wonder. I'm worried
Yeah,
that am I cutting out or anything?
you're a little jumpy. If you
Or
think
if
the
you're
Wi-Fi would help it,
okay.
yeah, I'm
Yeah. Let me do that.
no
I think
worries.
I could do. Okay. This
All
is gonna
right.
work.
No, it already seems better.
Should work.
Perfect.
Okay. Good.
So how are you? How are you holding up today? Yeah.
I'm doing good. I think little things like this are really fun, like to have interviews and see
Yeah,
faces that I
right,
wouldn't
right.
normally see, get to talk
Yeah, I
about
mean,
something
a
fun.
show like The
It's
Great
nice.
is something that I'm sure you never tire of talking about. It's such an awesome project, and you're great in it. Obviously, it also marks the first time that you're attached to something as an executive producer. So you're rooted into it creatively, to say the least. Um, yeah.
Yes, that's
Now it
true.
must have been so fun to get to like do the costumes and the whole period piece aspect of it. Can you walk us through just how it all came together in the first place?
Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah, it was incredible. How it started. So I got a script that was actually based off a play that Tony had really put on about Catherine the Great, and it was a film script actually at first, and it was a true kind of like luck. I don't know that Tony had thought of me to play Catherine and the young Catherine, because in the script it kind of spans
Okay.
her entire life, and just the young Catherine was a sliver of that. So I read the script then with the hopes of, it possibly being made into a series, and about, the first season would be about the young Catherine and her
Hmm.
rise to power. And I was just incredibly blown away by the writing. I hadn't seen The Favorite. Tony wrote The Favorite as well, and I had not seen the story, so I had nothing to compare it to. I was very shocked and surprised by the humor and just the bizarre world that Tony created, and wanted to be a part of it, and wanted to tell this version of Catherine the Great story, because obviously our show is not a historical document. We don't go by all the facts, but we get to tell it in I think, a humanizing and
Yeah, yeah.
modern way, which is always the
And
most
as a
important.
writer, I feel like Tony is building a nice little niche for himself, diving into these royal period dramas and putting like a dark spin on it. They're so singular that
Yeah.
provide such rich material for you actors to really sink your teeth into. So it must have been an exciting opportunity for sure. Now,
Oh yeah,
what about
completely.
Catherine's story really interested you at first? I feel like she starts as this pretty naive, I think is a polite way to put it, um, naive young woman who's
Yeah.
brought to Russia expecting this life of extravagance and regality. But it's a bit of a rude awakening when she's met with her husband to be. So, what about that story really interested you in the first place?
Yes, gosh. And Catherine starts out like, almost naive,
Hmm.
extremely romantic, optimistic, also kind of searching for love and thinking that this marriage is going to be her true love, and that's her destiny, and she's going to have an amazing life. And she arrives in Russia, and reality slaps her in the face, and she's kind of pushed into this completely backwards world, married to an idiot husband who she quickly realizes I have to kill. Um, and I think that what I love so much about Catherine is her passion and her drive to make a change. I think that this um, story really asks people the question of, would they make
Hmm.
that choice? Are they willing to um, change things or try to do something for something that they believe in. And quickly, Catherine realizes over the course of the series that the love of her life is not Peter, and it's not even a man, it's actually a country, and the will to change a country. Her love affair throughout the season is Russia. Really interesting to play, and she's such a dichotomy of a person. She's kind of a character of contradictions, because at one point she is incredibly optimistic and this kind of brilliant strategist and kind of all-knowing and a bit egotistical. I love playing her arrogance. And then around episode 5, her weaknesses start to show, and she starts to actually question herself. And that was important, that she was a character who wasn't necessarily always the bravest person or strongest person in the room. She actually had to learn a lot from a lot of people and make mistakes herself and question herself. And that's, of course, those are the characters that I like to watch. And I think TV has really carved out an amazing area for complicated women, just like Killing Eve and Fleabag and Russian Doll, and I mean, just to name a few. But I'm happy that Catherine got to,
she's a welcome addition to the mix, to say the least. Now, you speak of her so eloquently, just to know all the facets, and obviously that is the work of an actor, to kind of know the character better than anyone else. Our audience today is largely made up of our Backstage readers, and we are working actors, we are creators. I'd love to hear a bit about how, when you're presented with a new character, what does that character work actually entail? What does it look like to really get it into your body and know a character inside and out?
That's interesting. I'm like a big believer in imagination and daydreaming, and I kind of live up in the clouds sometimes, especially when I'm about to get ready to embody a character. I imagine a lot, if that makes sense. I think it's hard to sometimes put into words or articulate how it comes to be. But I mean, even little technical things of getting in the costumes. I mean, the first thing that you normally do as an actor before you start filming, we didn't have much rehearsal for this either. So and TV goes so quickly, so you don't have time to really analyze and talk to the whole cast, and the directors are also changing. So Tony is our constant because he's our showrunner, but the directors, I think we had 4 different directors that would come in, so they're constantly changing as well. So you have to know yourself inside and out. Going back to fittings, I think the first thing you do is go to the fittings and put on the clothes of the character, and specifically for this period, 18th century costumes. Obviously, it's a very constricting corset and tons of skirts, and I mean, even being in that corset for 6 months, I feel constricted as Catherine would, and it changes your physicality. And a lot for me too was the comedy aspect of the show, because that was new. That was a new challenge, of having to get the rhythm of comedy right, because I'm a funny person, like I think, but to get to show that side of myself, I think people think of me more as a dramatic actor, possibly. So to have to let my walls come down and be uninhibited and unembarrassed, I think that was a big part of the comedy for me, is I had to learn to just not be embarrassed, kind of do it big, just go for it. And then you can always, go back, but just the physicality of that too. I think Catherine at times is kind of a broad comedian, which I love. And Tony wrote her so well that way, but I don't know if I'm telling you the process good enough, but these are just things that I was thinking, basically, thinking.
And it is an exciting prospect to be faced with a new genre as an actor. I mean, as you say, you are better known as a dramatic actor, and you're finding comedic bits, and it's physical comedy while also the script itself is hilarious. So did anyone on set have a particular bit of advice that allowed you to open that door a little more?
I think, it wasn't necessarily like words of advice, but I think Nick Holt, who plays Peter, he's so brilliant and for him to be my partner in this was like a huge, I lucked out like in such a big way, because he also came from, I think, you know, he did The Favorite, and so the rhythm of Tony's words he was a bit more used to. And so in that way, just watching him and the speed and the pace, I kind of connected with him on the rhythm, and he helped me in that way. And also we love to challenge each other. Like we would kind of spar with each other in those scenes where we had to have that banter back and forth. And he helped me so much. And we're not really embarrassed around each other either. We're kind of like, go for it. Let's do it big. And then sometimes I would do something and we're like, ooh, that wasn't so right. Or that was, you know, just someone to keep me. He kept me in check. You know, we kept each other in check, which I think is important when you're on a project for so long. And you want to also create a really strong relationship on screen. You know, the chemistry has to be there between Catherine and Peter. And you want to make it a complex relationship, you know, something that has a lot different layers, because I think it easily could go into the territory of, okay, he's the bad guy, she's the good guy, and that's it, and they just fight. But it actually evolves over the series, and I think Catherine weirdly kind of learns to love Peter, and all those emotions have to be there. And so we were on the same page. It was great to have an actor that, you know, I felt so
It's great
with.
that all those complexities can coexist with one another, even if it's a little contradictory, the way that she does love him a little bit. And you can assume that part of the reason that you have such good chemistry and on screen is because he's doing his homework. He's coming to the day as prepared as you are. He knows Peter inside and out, just like you know Catherine inside and out, and then that's when you can really play. It must be.
Yes, completely. Yeah, and even just like technical. I'm speaking over you, but I mean the memorization too. I mean, I know there's a lot of actors out there that are watching of, you know, learning lines, you know, that thing, which I'm always a procrastinator. Like even in school, I was like, I would do everything the night before. Like I need the pressure put on me or it's not going to work. So, but that was a little bit harder to do on this show because the language is so dense, and you're like, you know, so I had to actually kind of conquer my fear and learn it sometimes like weeks in advance. But it's hard on a TV show, so you're getting it, and you just, I don't know, that muscle, the memorization muscle, was something that all us actors would talk about on this show particularly, because it definitely got a lot stronger towards the end. We were a lot better, but because we could not add that on the show. There was nothing like that. The script supervisor would come in like, it's the, not and, not like, it was so, which, you know, rightfully so, respect to Tony to do that. But it was intense in that regard.
Now, what did your responsibilities as a producer actually look like? And why did you want to sign on to this in that way specifically?
Gosh, I've been so interested in getting a bit more behind the scenes. Maybe because I was a child actor, that I was just always interested in everybody's role on a film set and grew up on a film set. And I felt like the urge to just get more involved lately in the process of, you know, creating projects, and even reading books or articles, and loving the story and wanting to be able to produce those, or maybe possibly direct. I hope that this kind of leads to directing. And this was, you know, Tony brought the script to me early enough that the pilot was being written and we hadn't found a streaming service yet. And so it was very early on in the whole process, and he kind of brought me on as a producer and a partner in this. And I learned so much from the process. I think I had to go to the pitch meetings and, you know, just kind of sell yourself to, you know, the business side. And then the day-to-day, you know, involved in, you know, even casting and looking at tapes, and which I feel for. I'm like, oh, auditions. I hate auditions. They make me so scared. So I'm like, oh, I know how that feels. Like, and also editing, like watching, not that I would edit, but I would watch dailies every night, which was
Yeah.
funny watching
And then to know
yourself. Um,
how the
you
sausage
know,
is made a little bit.
yes, yeah, complete, and how editing really changes
Mm,
everything. It can, you know, I would watch different cuts of the show, and just the process of that, how long that takes, and trying to finesse each little thing. You can really,
yeah.
editing can change everything. It can make it, you know, it's like, whoa, you going behind the scenes in that way. I didn't, you know, it's something I've realized, but I
Yeah.
really saw it firsthand. And sometimes I would have to take breaks of like not watch the dailies, um, because it was a little bit too close to home. You know, I'm watching myself and filming a certain scene, and I was like, all right, I need to take a breather, and then I would come
Yeah.
back
No,
to it.
imagine. Well, I love that you had your hand in all the pots a little bit. And you mentioned that during some of the audition process, you had that behind the curtain look at the self tapes that the actors were submitting themselves. Any best practice when it comes to those self tapes that you could advise our working actors on right now?
Interesting. Gosh, I think you just, well, self tapes, those are, I like doing those, because you like, you can like, if it's, you can watch it back, you're like, all right,
Right.
I got to do this again. Like, going in the room and being in front, I am not the best person to ask, because I passed out in an audition once
Yikes.
when I was younger, fully passed out, because I just, it's such a scary, it's just a weird feeling. But yeah, I think just try to be yourself. I don't know. I mean, I think try to play up your unique qualities. I think as an act, like that's what makes you stand out. And kind of, if that makes sense, like our differences, I mean, in the world, are what makes up make us
Right.
who we are. So don't try to imitate anyone. That's what I would say. I would say, you know, bring your own flavor to it. Whatever the scene is, you bring the flavor that nobody else can bring, and that's how you're gonna stand out, you know, for whatever that may be. I think that's
I like
important.
that. Now, what makes you,
Yeah.
just looking ahead, again, congratulations on the series. I love it so much. And looking ahead, what are you excited to be saying yes to? What kind of excites you as a performer and now a producer? What kind of things are you going to align yourself with?
I love a challenge. I think, just like pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and also when I gonna try to explain this in the right way, but when I'm reading characters now, I'm trying to kind of pick roles that also could be, it's like kind of not, I'm like trying to think they don't necessarily have like, oh, all the feminine
Mm-hmm.
qualities. Like, I kind of want to play the anti-hero, if that makes sense. I want to play a role that normally the men
Yeah.
get to play. You know, I was watching like, I've done a PTA marathon in quarantine. So I like watched all his films in order, and like, wouldn't it be great if there was like a There Will Be Blood with
I
a
love that. Yeah.
female, you know, at the forefront? You know, I think I'm looking a bit more for
Yeah.
that, if that makes sense.
For 20
You know?
something women. And then you're on board.
Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, just running down my questions here, I have one more for you. Obviously, you have been in the industry for more years than you haven't been at this point. But what is one thing that you've learned along the way that you would, what's one piece of advice that you would give your younger self that you've learned along the way you wish you knew?
Wow. I think to take, which I think I have probably, but it's always a good reminder that like, take every small opportunity, like, to the fullest. Like, whatever it is, if it's just like a tiny little part, you have one scene, you have no diet, like you're just on the set, like, take each opportunity, because you never know who's watching, you never know who's there, you don't know where that opportunity will lead. You know, I think that's important to remind yourself that no matter how small it is, it's nothing's ever small. You know, you have to treat everything like it's the
Mhm.
last movie you'll ever be doing. Treat everything like it's, like it's the biggest thing. And it's so lucky to be an actor. Like, it's such a gift that we get to create and do that. And so just always enjoy yourself, have fun, and try to soak up everything you can from the
Yeah, certainly,
experience.
certainly. And I feel like days like today, I mean, you look at the state of the world, and it teaches you not to take those little things for granted. So you never know what's around the
Definitely.
yeah. That's all I
Yeah.
have for you, Elle. Thanks for your time and congrats again on the show.
Sure.
Thank you everyone out there for watching and joining us today. I'm Ben Lindsay from Backstage, and we'll see you next time. Bye, Elle.
Well, man, thank you so much. Bye.